In this passage, it reads, I am who I am. And how many people have heard of red letter Bibles before? Anybody know what that is? Yeah, red letter Bible is a Bible that lists the words of Jesus in red ink. Everything that Jesus says in the New Testament. And it just struck me as odd. I don't know why I never noticed before, but we don't really do that with God in the Old Testament in that same Bible. It's all black and white until Jesus comes. And so I started to study and did some research to find out where that red letter Bible came from. And it was this guy by the name of Louis Kloppich. In his teens, he had been captivated by a sermon by Reverend Talmage. And he made Talmage, as he grew in stature, this teen went on to be a publisher and actually became very wealthy and became a publisher of many different things. But after he heard Talmage, he made him an editor of his paper and conceived the idea of distributing his sermons to hundreds of newspapers. And he may have been the inventor of the modern syndication that we know of today. Most sports writers are syndicated and special topics. This may have been the first time that somebody was actually in syndication. But then in 1899, he was composing an editorial on June 19th, and his eye fell upon Luke 22:20. This cup is the New Testament in my blood, which I shed for you. Seizing on the symbolism of the blood, Kloppich asked Dr. Talmage if Christ's words could not be printed in red. And his mentor replied, it could do no harm, and it most certainly could do much good. So that's how the red letter Bible came about. But truthfully, it messes up our theology if God's words aren't in red. So I'm moving, and there's actually some people that would like to see this happen, that this would happen. Well, today's words are a perfect example. These are powerful words from God. The first, I am who I am, is important for all of us. We need to hear what's being said there. The first I am is saying that I am all that there is. I am all that there is. I'm all that was. I'm all that will be. So the bottom line is that the I am is not just always there. The I am is not just all powerful. The I am is all. And that includes us. God is all things. And all things are possible through Him. We say those words, but I don't think we really think about the profound nature of what those words mean. Romans 1 verse 20 says, ever since the creation of the world, His eternal power and His divine nature, invisible though they are, have been understood and seen through the things He has made. It's always been there, and we know that if we stop and think about it, right? But we don't always do that. Scholar Paul Fritz says, He is above all, before all, and greater than all. Thank God for His eternity that transcends all of time, people, and events. He's greater than all of history, present circumstances, or future oppositionary powers, because He always has been eternally existing God. He's all that ever was eternal. And when we start to think I, and we look in the mirror, we realize how wrong we are. He's everything to you and me. He is our Creator. Psalm 90, which is attributed to Moses, the first and second verse say, Lord, You have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting you are God. God is more than the Almighty. He is the All. We got to remember that He is everything. And this is really important because the world tells us we're everything. And we buy into it. Am I the only one? Look out for number one. That's not the way it works. And everything that we are, everything that we can do, goes back to God. Our competence, or in other words, our abilities, are only found in God. 2 Corinthians 3:5, not that we are competent of ourselves to claim anything as coming from us. Our competence is from God. Everything that we have, everything that we do, everything that we create is given to us through God. And you got to be sitting there saying, Tom, we know all that. But do we believe? Do we internalize, and do we live like we know that? Is the big question. Our contribution to the world, what we give, comes from God. And He asks us to give that back. James 1:17, every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. That's who God is. Because the I am is realized in us, when we do something in God's way, not our way, when we drop all our pretenses, when we strictly become God's, the creation He meant us to be. It goes on to say in verse 18 that in fulfillment of His own purpose, He gave birth to the word of truth so that we could become a kind of first fruits of His creatures. We are God's first fruits with a purpose of making God known to the world, this God who is everything. And so we have a big job ahead of us. In short, the only real I we have is the I am.